Papers are saying we bring you the conversations behind the headlines as presented by our colleagues within the media space. I am Sammi Wiafe. This week has been a very interesting week, if you ask me. It has to do with a recent incident that happened at the El-Wak Sports Stadium here in Accra, where some young Ghanaians, young men and women who have the desire to join the Ghana Armed Forces were supposed to be at the El-Wak Stadium. Unfortunately, 6 individuals, all females, lost their life in a stampede that has got the nation talking. And that is how the Daily Guide newspaper published the story. It says, Ghana Armed Force recruitment stampede, 6 females dead, 22 injured. The Ghanaian Times newspaper says, Black Wednesday, 6 die in stampede over military recruitment at El-Wak Sports Stadium. The Daily Graphic says, military enlistment in Accra on hold, 6 die, 5 in critical condition, and 5 injured in Kumasi. The Chronicle newspaper says, Mahama to military halt recruitment exercise. City Newsroom reported that Boja Jemfi visited family of El-Wak recruitment tragedy victims. Also this week, the much-awaited and much-anticipated report of the helicopter crash was released by the committee set up to investigate it. A news conference was held at the Jubilee House where committee members or the leader in this whole investigation addressed journalists on what really caused this incident on the 6th of August 2025. And that is how the Daily Graphic reported the story. It says, August 6th helicopter incident, poor visibility caused crash. The Daily Guide newspaper, Ghana Armed Forces military crash, chopper lost altitude in bad weather. The Ghanaian Times newspaper says August 6th helicopter crash, bad weather cause of crash investigations. The Herald newspaper says crash military aircraft confirmed as flying skeleton brought down by air. Channel 1 newsroom says crash report missed account of crew response in deadly accident. That is Professor Ejekum. This week as well, the Appointment Committee of Parliament came under fire again. It has to do with the vetting of the acting Chief Justice who has been nominated by President John Dramani Mahama to be the substantive Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. I'm talking about Justice Paul Bafoboni. At this vetting, the minority members on the committee decided to stage a walkout, but yet the vetting took place. But there were headlines even before they decided to walk out. And that is how the Ghanaian publisher ran the story. It says, Afenyo marking labels CJ vetting disgraceful. The News Center says, minority fear judicial subversion in new CJ vetting. A City Newsroom says, Parliament approves Bafoboni as Ghana's Chief Justice. And just a while ago before we came on air, the Finance Minister, Dr. Kesela Toforsen, presented the government fiscal policy for the year 2026, or the budget statement for the year 2026. A number of promises are made in there and what the government seeks to do in the year 2026. City Newsroom says 2026 budget, Toforsen scraps COVID-19 levy, announces major VAT reform, and also announced plans by government to purchase some new military equipment for the Ghana Armed Forces and the likes. So these are the issues we are looking at tonight on what the papers are saying, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, I'll introduce my guest.
This November, something amazing is coming to Accra. Are you a farmer with fresh produce? Are you into fish farming, poultry or livestock? Then get ready for the November edition of the AgriFair 2025. Yes, AgriFair 2025. It's happening on Friday the 28th to Sunday the 30th of November. It's happening at the A4 Sutherland Children's Park, and it's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. It's the ultimate weekend marketplace. From fruits and vegetables to poultry, livestock and fish to agro-inputs and processing machinery, all at unbeatable farm gate prices. Whether you're selling or buying, this is your chance to connect, trade and grow. Enjoy the freshest farm produce, sizzling kebabs, and a vibrant marketplace atmosphere all in one space. Register now and secure your spot. Call 0558-973-973 for more information. AgriFair 2025, where culture meets innovation. The AgriFair 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV and 97.3 City FM and is proudly sponsored by Horticulture Business Platform, Development Bank Ghana, Legacy Crop Improvement Center, Gresol, and the Ghana Exim Bank.
You're welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. Coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. I am Sammi Wiafe. Tonight helping with the discussion is Hansen Ajimai, with us here at City FM and Channel 1 Television. And Salom Adonu also here with us at City FM and Channel 1 Television. Gentlemen, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Just a while ago, before we came on air, the Finance Minister, Dr. Kesela Tuforsen, addressed Parliament. He presented a government fiscal policy for the year 2026, or the budget statement for government. He made some announcements in there, including the scrapping of the COVID-19 levy and the desire of government to reform VAT and also to purchase some military equipment for the Ghana Armed Forces and the like. Let's go to Parliament, hear what the Finance Minister said, and then we'll come and continue with the discussion.
Recovery levy. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the decoupling of GET Fund and National Health Insurance levies from the VAT tax base. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish VAT on recognizance and prospecting of minerals. Mr. Speaker, we will reduce the effective VAT rate from 21.9 to 20%. Mr. Speaker, we will raise the VAT registration threshold from 200,000 to 750,000 cedis. Mr. Speaker, we will extend VAT zero rating on the supply of local manufacturing textiles to 2028. Mr. Speaker, for emphasis, we promise to abolish the COVID-19 levy. With the support of this House, Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to say that I'm happy to announce that today, COVID-19 levy is accordingly abolished. Mr. Speaker, by abolishing the COVID-19 levy, government is putting 3.7 billion Ghana cedis in the pockets of individuals and businesses in 2026. Mr. Speaker, these reforms will also reduce the cost of doing business by 5% as a result of subjecting GET Fund and NHIL levies to input-output deductibility for businesses. Mr. Speaker, when this administration took office, Ghana's energy sector was saddled with about 1.4 billion United States dollars in debt to independent power producers, a ticking fiscal bomb, I call it. Mr. Speaker, today, that burden has been lessened. We have renegotiated all power purchase agreements, led by Ghanaian experts at no cost to the state, saving over $250 million and restructuring 1.1 billion Ghana cedis over a four-year period. Mr. Speaker, government is now fully current on payment, clearing 300 million United States dollars in 2025 year to date and allocating 345 million United States dollars for 2026. Mr. Speaker, for the first time, we are not accruing new arrests in energy sector. Solar tariffs, projects like BXC and Mineji have dropped from 18 to 6.5 cents per kilowatt hour, cutting costs and expanding access. Mr. Speaker, this was achieved as part of the renegotiation. Mr. Speaker, the Electricity Company of Ghana revenues has risen almost 90% from 900 million to 1.7 billion Ghana cedis per month, thanks to better enforcement of the cash waterfall mechanism. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, ECG's revenue has improved.
That's Finance Minister Dr. Kesela Tuforsen in Parliament a while ago to present the government fiscal policy or the budget for the year 2026. 26. Gentlemen, Hansen, I'll start with you. You were listening to the finance minister. We did so together in the newsroom. First of all, a number of things that he said. Which one hits you the most?
I think it's the conversations on the purchase of or retooling of the Ghana Armed Forces. I think that we've played politics with that issue for quite some time, and particularly because of the approach of the NDC on this issue in opposition. It was important that the government made a clear statement on going forward, and there's a need for us to forge forward. Sammi, you have been a presidential correspondent for 8 years. As presidential correspondent, I guess you've had the opportunity to be in the helicopters of the military, and even in the aircraft. I think that is the CASA, right?
The CASA is the aircraft.
The CASA is the aircraft. And you would agree with me that these machines, if I may even call them that way, are not compared to other countries, and you even would want to second guess yourself if indeed you should take that trip if you're supposed to go with any of these helicopters or even with the aircraft. And so the idea from the minister that the government is going to retool the Ghana Armed Forces is one that we need to embrace. I know that it is one that the minority and the NPP as a party would also want to make certain points forcefully in an attempt to demonstrate the level of perhaps, for want of better words, hypocrisy or contradiction that might exist in the statements of some elements within the government while they were in a position. But at the end of the day, I think all of us will come to an understanding that retooling the Ghana Armed Forces and making them more modernized will be, the equipment more modernized will be appropriate. And so I think that is one good thing. The talk about the agricultural roads, kind courtesy the 2024 election, I got the opportunity to travel across the length and breadth of the country. And in most farming communities, I mean, the roads are poor.
Terrible.
I come from the Bono region, trying to be specific. The adjoining constituency is Banda, which is a constituency of the Minister for Local Government. And the link road from Tyne to Banda is in very poor state. And if you are moving from these two constituencies to any of the regional capitals you can talk about, or any of the cities within the region, talk about Wenchi, talk about Techiman, the link roads are in poor shape, and you begin to wonder, and these are farming communities. In Banda, there's heavy cashew farming. In Badua, I come from, there's heavy maize farming. And these farmers feed the larger populace of the Ghanaian, the larger Ghanaian populace. Now, if you look at the road with which some of these foodstuffs are carried into the markets, it is very troubling. Not only about the fact that it affects agriculture in itself, it also, in a way, not meaning to say that it's not befitting of farmers who work day in, day out to help put food on our table, that these are their roads. And I mean, the roads across the country are in poor shape. The fact that government is seeking to work on it, and I hope that beyond the elements that have been captured in the budget, we would see some specific efforts that will be undertaken by government to ensure that the road infrastructure in the country at large, and not just the agricultural roads, because I'm talking about the roads in the Bono region where I come from, but the people in Amasaman are also complaining. If you just look at the Pokwase, Intawam, Kumasi highway, for instance, even though that road is under construction, the slow pace at which the construction is ongoing is affecting residents who live there, and in some instances resulting in some diseases because of the dusty nature of the roads. And so it's important that beyond government capturing these roads in the budget, efforts will be made to complete them in a timely manner. And one big thing for me is the jobs.
Yeah. He said over 800,000 jobs.
Over 800,000 jobs. My concern first is sustainable jobs.
Yeah.
Because then, even with the 800,000 jobs, he talks about 450,000 that are linked to the big push. And the big push we know has to do with construction. And majority of these jobs will be temporary in their own nature. But we also have a context of how construction in this country sometimes delays release of funds and how it affects the value chain. And so these 800,000 jobs, I think that the government should be looking more at how to create more sustainable jobs. Of course, I mean, I'm a young person. Any opportunity that gives another young person the ability to earn a living, whether it's for a 6-month contract, it's for a 1-year contract, is one that we would agree with. But to a large extent, we believe that there's a need for more sustainable jobs. He talks about the private sector and increasing the capitalization for banks like the NIB, the ADB, and the CBG. In doing so, too, I think that there should be conversations on how to easily access credit for young persons who have their own businesses and who want to expand, or perhaps those who want to start some businesses. And on jobs, finally, I think that while we are thinking about creating jobs, we should also be looking at our educational system and making sure that we equip our young people with skills for modern day jobs. There are a lot of jobs available on the internet that when we make our educational system in such a way that our young persons can be able to acquire skills like coding skills, then they can be able to get meaningful jobs which cut across even the country. And I think that one headline thing, which for the politics of it caught my attention, was the COVID-19 levy. Because the NDC, while in opposition, had indicated that it was unnecessary to have a COVID-19 levy. And so many wondered why, when they got the opportunity to govern, they did not scrap that tax. Finally, the Minister of Finance has come to the House of Parliament and given an indication that that tax has been scrapped. All
right, Hansi, thank you very much. Salom, I'll come to your observations.
Well, I think it's an interesting budget. Budget read late afternoon into the night for obvious reasons or obvious matters happening in Parliament. I think it's been a good budget, a budget that, of course, recounts the successes and difficulties of the previous year or the year under review and projecting into the future. I think the government, the government has performed generally quite above its own expectation. Growth target is set. They've been able to go north of that. Inflation targets, they said they've done better than their own targets, and a few other things. What is left or is important is for the economy that generally seems stable now to now move into the mode of production and churning out jobs. That is where the issue is. So if it says 800,000 jobs will be generated out of this budget and a few other places, that is welcome news. But what kinds of jobs are we talking about? Are they jobs which the young people want to do? Because often we say the construction sector will churn out X number of jobs. That is true. But are they jobs the young people want to do, or are they sustainable jobs? If the road construction is done,
Within
what
a
happens to
year
the
or
rest of the
two,
people,
yeah.
you know. So, of course, one can argue that otherwise, those people who will be engaged in that road construction work will be wondering about not knowing what to do. So it's more of a stopgap measure to deal with that. But the sustainable jobs is the issue. And it is the case really, that governments don't actually create jobs. The private sector is the one that does so. In an economy where private sector is the one that creates jobs, that economy is more sustainable than the government sector creating jobs. When government sector creates jobs, it leads to many other things. The wage bill is bloated. Sometimes the productivity levels are low, and a whole lot of things, because a job that could be done by 2 people, now you have 4 more people doing it, and it's not necessarily out of the expansion of the economy that we see these. It's because people have to work, so people have to be employed. So the private sector, I'm looking forward to a situation where the private sector will become the real engine of growth. The private sector will be properly incentivized to go out there and create jobs. That is why it's important that the VAT reforms, are successful, so that the private sector can breathe a bit, expand, and that expansion will mean creating more jobs. The COVID-19 levy that has been scrapped, that the minister says leaves some 3.7 billion cedis or so in the pockets of people, same in the pockets of businesses. So we hope that the businesses will use these monies to expand, and the expansion again means the creation of more jobs. So job creation for me is at the heart of everything we do, and that is so crucial. A number of things were also said, even before I get there. So the projections, the performance of the economy generally. Inflation now at 8%, when they actually targeted 11.9. The exchange rate generally stable. Interest rates, coming down, which is great. MPC rate 28 to 21. Quite a number of things happening there, stabilizing the economy, making the economy breathe, and allowing the private sector to have access to cheap credit, etc. That is the way to go. The social sector also caught my attention. The education subsector, the fact that double track in 2 years, they say, will become a thing of the past through the Ghana Secondary Learning Improvement Program. We really pray that the double track system is resolved, and that can only happen through infrastructure expansion, etc. We hope that the investments they are making will make that happen, because the current situation where students go to school 2 weeks, they are back. They go to school 10 days, they are back. They go to school 1 month or 2 months, they are back. Come to stay home for 2 months. It's confusing. It's not helpful. Puts a lot of burden even on parents to engage extra classes teachers to be teaching their parents. So something that generally, was sold as free, in the end becomes more expensive. There is no doubt about the greatness of the free SHS program. A lot more people have had access to education, or to secondary education. That is to be encouraged, but we need to move it to the next level by expanding access and infrastructure, so that more people can stay in school. The argument is made about contact hours. Yes, contact hours is good, but secondary education is not just about contact hours. There are other things that we do, or students do, or that are taught in school that, help in forming the totality of the human being. So saying contact hours alone, or scoring A's alone in school, is not the way to go. And of course, I know it's been an argument, about the performance of people in the double track system, and as against the single track system. But it is the holistic development of the human being we want. And of course, the basic education aspect of things has suffered because of the over-concentration on free SHS, which was political. And because there was a lot of political capital to be gained from free SHS, attention was there. There was F-Cube, it's basic, supposed to be free, so no much attention is there. So the focus has been on free SHS, to the detriment of the basic education. But basic education is actually the foundation. So I was happy to hear the minister say that some 200 JHS facilities will be built, some 200 primary facilities will be built, and some 200 kindergarten facilities will be built. That is great. If all of these are done and properly finished, that will go a long way to bridge
the infrastructure gap we see there, and perhaps help deal with the matter of schools under tree, amongst many other things. In terms of jobs, and so trade and exports, etc. I noted a particular interest in the textile and garment manufacturing subsector. That is a low-hanging fruit that I think we can take advantage of because of the potential for export revenue and the potential also for job creation. It's something we need to really look at, invest in, because at a go it can employ a lot of people. And in these days that we hear that labor in Vietnam, Cambodia, India, and all these places, Sri Lanka, etc., which sow, for the world. Labor costs are rising. The world and the Western world that patronizes their services, is beginning to look to Africa. And Ghana has a good record. And so we need to identify this and begin to invest in those areas so the Nikes, H&Ms, etc., who are looking to come to Ghana will find a favorable space, set up properly, employ our people who will work and we get export revenue and we'll get jobs and the economy will do well. So generally, I think it was a good budget. The budget may be good, but the implementation of it is what it is. Indeed, the much talked about Women's Bank now has been given capital to take off. Let's see how that goes. That is encouraging. Let's see how that goes. And a lot of the campaign promises appear to be getting some funding. I mean, good enough to move them from the ground state to an appreciable state. I hope these resources are actually released to them, and when they are released, I hope they are applied properly. We also talked about NIMOS, and prior to the reading of the budget, those of us interested in the Galamsey fight, etc., we're wondering, or we're saying that NIMOS appears to be doing a good job. They have to be resourced. Now, Atufosin says 150 million cedis is being allocated to NIMOS. Let's see how they apply that. Let's see how that helps the corruption fight and all of that. So I think generally, yes, it's a good budget. Let's see how the rollout plays out.
All right, Salam, thank you very much. You're still watching what the papers are saying. Coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll have that conversation about what happened at the El-Wak Sports Stadium.
In a world filled with challenges, we all need guidance, hope, and a lifeline to anchor us.
This is Lifeline, and I'm your host, Fred Crunchy Mensah.
From social issues, relationship challenges, and family matters, Lifeline is here to inspire, uplift, and guide you on your journey.
Where we give you support, where we hold your hand through the valley and through the thick and thins of life.
Join Bishop Fred Crunchy Mensah.
I welcome you especially to Lifeline.
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on Channel 1 TV. Let's walk this path together, strengthen our faith, our families, and our lives. Lifeline, because every soul deserves a guiding light. Tune in to Lifeline on Channel 1 TV and let's grow together. On Footprints this Friday, we have a conversation with Bishop Ni Apiakai Takiaboy, the presiding bishop of Victory Bible Church International, who shares his story about his life as a minister of the gospel.
We went somewhere to preach to some middle school girls, and then as the brother I went with, as he was preaching, he said, "Is there anybody here who wants to give his life to Jesus?" And I lifted up my hand. He thought he had made a mistake because or thought that I didn't understand what he was saying, because he knew me in Scripture Union. So when I lifted up my hand, he repeated about 3 times and realized that I was the only one who lifted up his hand. Then he said, "Okay, pray after me." So I prayed after him, and then the moment I said amen, then I knew that I would do God's work. And the first Sunday we were about 80. Oh, so
don't say. What was the expression like?
In fact, we had 4 services on a Sunday. 4 back-to-back 4 services.
I used to pity you. Especially when I saw you preach on the third service at times. The man is tired, but Charlie,
No, we were young. We were young, but the people who really had the blunt were those who were leading praise and worship.
God has been faithful.
God has been very, very faithful because we've gone to court. In fact, they always take us to court.
Footprints airs every Friday at 7 p.m. with a repeat on Sunday at 5:30 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
You're welcome back. You're still watching What the Papers Are Saying, coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. I am Sammi Wiafe, and I'm here with Selom Adono, here with us, City FM and Channel 1 Television, and Hansen Ajeman, also here with us at City FM and Channel 1 Television. Well, on Wednesday, we call it the Black Wednesday, 6 young girls or young women who were applying to join the Ghana Armed Forces met their untimely death after a stampede at the El-Wak Sports Stadium here in Accra. We're told of how thousands of young people had applied. Over 21,000 of them had applied to join the Ghana Armed Forces and wear that green uniform. Unfortunately, 6 of these individuals met their untimely death at the El-Wak Sports Stadium. Here's a report filed by my colleague Fauzu Masaudu.
The Acting Minister of Defense, Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen, has announced the formation of an internal board to investigate the deadly stampede that occurred during a recent Ghana Armed Forces recruitment exercise. Speaking in Parliament on Wednesday, Dr. Forsen expressed deep sorrow over the tragedy, adding that the investigation aims to determine the circumstances that led to the stampede, ensure accountability, and implement measures to prevent similar incidents in the future.
The Ministry of Defense deeply mourns the loss of life and extend condolences to the affected families. We are working closely with the Ghana Armed Forces, medical teams, and law enforcement agencies to provide full support to the injured and to investigate the circumstances that led to this tragedy. Mr. Speaker, as a result, the Ghana Armed Forces has instituted an internal board of inquiry to investigate the causes of this unfortunate incident. Right Honorable Speaker, the safety and dignity of applicants remains paramount, and the ministry would take every step necessary to prevent reoccurrence of this matter.
The tragedy occurred when thousands of job seekers thronged the El-Wak Sports Stadium for a GAF recruitment exercise. It was meant to be a new beginning, a chance for many young men and women to wear the nation's uniform and defend its honor. But as the day went by, the air around the El-Wak Sports Stadium was filled not with excitement but with tragedy. Though the exercise was scheduled for Wednesday morning, desperate to secure a spot, some hopeful recruits began arriving as early as 11 p.m. the night before. By morning, thousands had gathered, their dreams, hopes, and their futures converging at one place.
What have you been encountering ever since you got here?
We came here, more people's here, they will not enter. They will not let us enter. That's why you're also standing for interview.
But they said you are supposed to be done in batches and some were asked to come tomorrow, but you have all come here today and they are overwhelmed with their numbers. Why wouldn't you return and possibly come on the date that you have been scheduled to do so?
We all know that, but sometimes we will let them, some of them enter. That's why you're also waiting for whether they will call us or we will also enter for it. That's why we are standing for it.
We are standing here with the hopes that they will eventually let you.
By the grace of God, we are hope. We are also enter.
What began as a dense crowd soon became a stampede, leading to the untimely death of 6 female applicants, as announced by President John Dramani Mahama at a separate event following an earlier visit to the victims at the 37 Military Hospital.
Arehosem say ebi ehwiase emye tietia omoso na menemo ka sei sena yenya ntiye nipa ensia yamabunu ahwere omonkwa na dumienu bi nso eda hospital a eche se ayeden nso ye bompa ye se omho beto omo na nyame enya areho ama omo enti make us say soldier mpanyimfo ama ya so ate se yamma nsia wɔn nyinaa ɛyɛ mmabaawa.
Of the 28 casualties recorded, the GAF has confirmed two.
My colleague Fazil Masaudu filed a report from the El-Wak Sports Stadium on Wednesday when that incident occurred. A lot of people have, run commentary on this. There are many questions people are asking that could the military have done something differently? Could the military have, put in better strategies to ensure that we avoid what we saw on Wednesday? Hansen, I remember very well when this story broke. I saw your reaction, in the newsroom.
You see, so two truths can exist, right? That there are people who are very passionate about the security services and they want to serve the nation in that regard. In the university, I had a friend who lived his life trained entirely to join the Ghana Armed Forces. I mean, he would wake up every time at 4 a.m., go for jogging, hit the gym, refer to himself as a military man, refer to all of us as civilians. And it took him 3 attempts to make it into the military. So I agree that there are people who, for the passion and for the love to serve the nation, will want to do this. But I also admit and acknowledge that the greater number of people who would visit these recruitment centers just because of the situation or the issue of unemployment. And so we need to understand the situation first in that context. But the aftermath of this should call for a thorough investigation to unravel what exactly happened. Because this is a structured institution like the Ghana Armed Forces. And it's not as though they indicated that if you are willing to join the military, meet us at the El-Wak Stadium. First, they created a portal for persons interested to apply. And so I'm tempted to say that they knew or ought to have known the number of people who will be meeting them at the El-Wak Sports Stadium. As to how the numbers were more than what they anticipated, it's one that investigations should unravel, and not just a matter that 6 persons are dead, 12 are injured, some are fairly injured and others are doing okay. We need to find out what exactly happened, where law and order broke loose within the value chain. But what happened yesterday reveals certain things. The first thing I think it reveals is the disrespect for our citizens. And I think events and happenings over the period suggest that duty bearers really do not.
They don't care.
They don't. I'm looking for
they don't care. They don't care.
A charitable description, but they don't care. They don't disregard. They don't respect the citizens who put them there. Because this is not the first time, Sammi, we've seen huge numbers at centers. And people will go to these places and they'll be asked to sit on the floor or stand in the scorching. You know, I understand that, yes, their training may be even difficult on that day. But some form of orderliness to make sure that there's some citizens able to go through these things without the pain of it. Because this is avoidable pain for what has been happening every year. And consistently, there have not been deliberate efforts or effective efforts at addressing the situation. And so it is only the outcome of the perpetual disrespect that leaders have had towards citizens. It also talks about the poor organization that we have within the country. Because if you are organizing such an event, you should be able to have a blueprint of account for every single thing. The time of arrival, the time of filling forms, the time of undergoing through the actual recruitment process, the first phase of the recruitment process, and have contingency measures. And this is the military. There is no other institution. This is one of our foremost security agencies. These are the people who, when there's any form of threat to our territorial integrity,
the first people will call.
They are the first people who will fall on. And so to have them have such an organization is very poor. And lastly on this matter, the issue about crowd control management. You can talk about IJRA. You can talk about sometimes situations in Asawase. There are instances where the military have been invited into or they go into situations
to calm the tensions to control
and there's always a loss of life. I'm not linking these incidents, but there's a pattern where I think that we need to rethink issues about crowd control. To what extent were we attempting to control the crowd at the point that it led to a stampede? And then we need to look at modernizing. I think that is what everybody's talking about. Modernize the process. In this day and age, it is near needless to have people
gather at one place. We are told that over 21,000 people were there.
And to think that you wouldn't take up to 2/3
Only
of the number.
4,000.
You won't take up to 2/3 of the number of people who have applied. It's shameful, and there must be thorough investigation.
Thank you very much. So the argument is that we are talking about this because 6 people died. In time past, we've all seen the crowd at the El-Wak Sports Stadium. We never made noise about it. But today we're having the conversation because 6 people had died. If they hadn't died, would the conversation be different?
Well, perhaps no, because the past guides us in the present, and you can make a prognosis into the future based on what the present and the past have told you. But eventually it was going to happen, because you know, in this country we just survive things, you know. So we just survive things, and then once we've survived and nothing happens, we forget about what we went through to just escape it. And if by God's grace we're able to escape it, instead of us to sit and look back and correct the mistakes and make recommendations or plan for the future, we go to sleep until the next time. So it keeps happening. So this is not the first time a number of people like this have massed about the place in search of jobs. We've seen it in the immigration recruitment sense, you know, a lot of people saying, just that again, nobody died, so we didn't see that. I think it is, first of all, an issue of unemployment. I mean, the severity of the joblessness and unemployment we have in the country. This clearly is an example of that. When you see the people there, not all of them are interested necessarily in being military people, but it offers an avenue for employment. So sometimes you don't even find the real people who have the passion, properly so-called, to be military people getting through, because they may not be able to get through. You have all these other persons who get through for whatever reason. You know, also indicative of the few opportunities existing in the military and service institutions, etc. When you listen to the people, you realize the cynicism or even the lack of trust they have even for the system or the process, you know, and you can't blame them, because this process we've seen over the years, you know, has become dominated by middlemen, by unofficial brokers, and by, you know, persons who have enlistment quotas. So, for example, I've been marking at one of the veterans, where the late Omani Boama appeared. was engaged in this whole thing about not denying him of his slot in the military. When his friends tried to nudge him, he said, no, we know it exists. We don't have to pretend about it. So he should not deny him slots. These are enlistment quotas. So when you look at the number of MPs we have, just MPs, and look at the number of slots they'll be given, one person may not be given just one slot. They'll be given 2, 3, 4 or more slots. Multiply that by the number and compare that to the number of slots available, and other influential people in the country who may also need it. Okay, the ministers and all these people who may also be given slots. You see that in the end, it's just a few people, a few slots that will be available for the average person. And so the trust, the winning of the trust there is very understandable. There is poor planning. And you see, when we talk about the military, we have seen the military, or we envision the military to be an institution of discipline, an institution of respect and reverence, and an institution of strategy and effective execution, an institution of precision, and an institution that is able to, an orderly institution, one of control, etc. But what we have seen in the past, which came to a head at least yesterday, runs counter to all of this. Where is the orderliness that we have associated with the military? Where is the discipline? Where is the sense of strategy? Where is the sense of planning? Where is the sense of execution? All of these, they fail themselves. You know that you open a portal or you did whatever, a number of people applied. You have that data. And you know that this number of people will be present at this particular center. 20,000 and more of them at the El-Wak center. What measures did you put in place? What crowd control measures did you put in place? What emergency measures did you put in place? Well, what did you put in place to accommodate all of these people? And these are over 20,000 young people, young-blooded people, who are desperate for jobs because they've been unemployed, many of them for so long, they've been out of school, they have no jobs, and they think that this is their time. So when you have a situation of desperation, and you have young people, some trying to outwit each other, trying to jump the queue, trying to do all of that, you should be on red alert, because you should anticipate chaos. But it does appear that they did not anticipate the chaos, because over the years they've done it the same way and nothing has happened. So yesterday they were not lucky, and in their statement they call it what? Unexpected surge of applicants who breached security protocols and rushed into the gates ahead of scheduled screening at about 6:20 hours. What do they mean by unexpected surge? At the time, in fact, there should have been adequate security, and monitoring at the place right from 4 a.m. when we heard people were beginning to mass up, or people were beginning to get to the place.
So maybe the previous night, people slept there.
Just because they wanted to be part of the process. And what's even the point? Why do you do this in such a limited time? What is wrong with spreading this for a period of a month or two, so that you have their names, you have their phone numbers? What is the essence of the phone numbers? What is the essence of sending them text messages? You have their names, alphabetical order, maybe from A to B. You guys are coming today, or you are coming for the first 3 days. And so if you fall within A to D or B, ensure you come on this day and get it done. The scheduling. Why couldn't we do this? Why do we allow 20,000 or more people to gather at a place, young people who are desperate, who may be angry, why do we do that? And what is the recruitment process that it cannot be decentralized? Yes, I hear they do some in Kumasi and other places, but why can't we really decentralize this to the district level? If not even to the district level, why can't we have about 4 or 5 centers in Accra and same number in Kumasi, maybe 3 centers in Koforidua, 3 centers in the Volta region? Every region will have multiple centers. Why can't we do that? Even YF exams, we write them at various places. Why can't we do this exercise if we can't spread it over the period? Why can't we do them at multiple centers? I don't know. But there should really be a reason why it's done this way, apart from the poor planning. And it's unfortunate that we've lost 6 young lives, and I hear they are all females. 6 young people just trying to apply to serve their country.
And even had it not been President Mahama Sela, we wouldn't even know there are six ladies.
You know, so I think they were ladies. Mahama was the one who made us know they were ladies. But it's unfortunate, and it is something we have to condemn. We think that, I think this must be investigated thoroughly. There should be recommendations that should be far-reaching, and we should begin seeing the recommendations right away, even before they recommence the registration or the recruitment process. Let's find a way of making this less burdensome to the young people. They are already frustrated. There are no jobs. They've been out of school for years. There are no jobs, and they are coming to try their luck on this. Let's not make it more burdensome for them, because they are already hot. The least we can do is to make the process seamless, is to make the process easy, so that when they come, they go through it, whether they qualify or not. Okay. You give them the result and they go. But let me something interesting.
You're running out of time. In 30 seconds.
Something interesting, came to mind. There've been about 4 major disasters we've seen in the past 25 years, right? The May 9 disaster. Yeah. We've seen the June 3 disaster. We've seen the August 6 disaster, the helicopter one, and you've seen this one. Interestingly, do you know that all these disasters occurred on Wednesday? It's amazing. May 9, 2001 was a Wednesday. June 3, 2015 was a Wednesday. August 6, 2025, a Wednesday. And yesterday was also a Wednesday.
I think then that every Wednesday there should be a national day of prayer and fasting.
If you are a Kweku, you should be. No, that's quite interesting.
It means every Wednesday there should be a national day of prayer and fasting.
That's quite interesting, if you ask me.
All right, Shalom, thank you very much. That's Shalom Madoni and his Hansen Ajimai. I am Sammi Wiafe, and brought you another exciting edition of What the Papers Are Saying that came to you live from our studios here in Accra. So we'll come your way again. May the good Lord be with us all.